Yo people, how's it going? If there is one thing that every Psytrance producer wants, is having a clean mix. The most obvious way to do that is to go to my website and sign up to my Into the Mix course. But in this video, I want to show you 3 Max for Live devices. 2 of them are free, plus 3 paid plugins that will help you to solve the 3 most common issues when mixing. So issue number 1 is dealing with harsh frequencies. Today, I'm working on this track called Big Brother. Beautiful. And on my percussions, I want to add a main hat. So I've added this shaker. It sounds a little bit too aggressive for me. So the first thing we can do is reduce it by minus 10 dB. But it's still poking a little bit, sounds quite harsh. So let's start first of all by adding an EQ plugin, and let's cut all of the low frequencies. We don't need any of the low rumble. The second thing that we will do is add a free Max for Live plugin that is called High Frequency Limiter. This plugin is incredible. It's so simple to use because it has only one control. It's basically here to help us control the high frequencies. I think it's taming frequencies above 6 or 5K. Let's take this blue line all the way to the top. Let's have a listen in solo to our shaker, and you will see on the scope here what exactly is happening. You can hear that it's taming those harsher frequencies. If you press on this solo, this is what it's reducing. So maybe this is a little bit too aggressive. Sounding nice. Let's turn it off. And back on. But we can compare this to a plugin called Soothe 2. Soothe 2 can do the same thing, but it is way more advanced. It has a lot more control on which frequencies exactly it's taming. You can use it on low as well as high frequencies. If you click on this band and then press listen, you can see which frequencies this band is affecting. So let's do something like this. I only wanted to control frequencies from above like 3K, let's say. And we can use depth, sharpness, and selectivity to control which frequencies are being tamed. Let's have a listen. Notice here what happens when I increase the sharpness and the selectivity. Let's reduce the selectivity and let's increase the depth. So what you're hearing right now is the frequencies being tamed. Let's click on the listen and let's bypass the plugin. Also look at the scope. Let's unbypass the plugin. Nice. So we basically achieved the exact same thing as the high frequency limiter. I'm quite struggling with it. So, shall we compare between them? And please let me know in the comments which one you think is better and if you think there is any difference between them at all. So, this is Soothe 2. And this is the high frequency limiter. Soothe 2 and high frequency limiter. And this is with the plugins off and this is with the plugin on. Back to the Soothe 2 and let's turn it off. So there is a little bit of a difference. It's very minor and it's really hard to pinpoint what is exactly happening. I think that the GM Audio high frequency limiter only controls frequencies from above 5 or 6K. And in this case, the Soothe 2 is controlling frequencies from around 3K. This is how we set this band. This is the main difference between those plugins. So it's your decision to decide if you want to spend money and buy the Soothe 2. It's a great plugin and it will have way more use cases. Or if you want a high frequency limiter for a quick control over taming just high frequencies on examples like a hi-hat. So, what is the second most common issue when mixing? Obviously, is controlling transients. If you ever wondered why your mix sounds a little bit pokey and a little bit too sharp compared to the nice and smooth but still punchy mixes of your favorite artists, well, the reason is because you're probably not controlling your transients. Let me show you an example. So I have a different section of the track which sounds like this. Listen to the snare. Sounds a little bit pokey. We need to do something about it because the snare sounds a little bit out of place. So let's solo the snare first of all, and let's have a listen. Look at the scope here. You can see this red thing, it means that it's clipping a little bit. So the next plugin I'm going to introduce is a soft clipper, a free Max for Live device called Clip-A-Me. So a soft clipper basically just chops the transient off. Imagine you take a knife and just chop the transient. This plugin is also very simple because it only has one control, and that is this little knob here. So let's play, and I will take the knob off and have a look here and listen so you can understand what this plugin is doing. You can see these two lines, and you can see the reds which are crossing these two lines. And let's turn it back off. Look at the scope when I turn it back on. And you can see that it's just chopped the transient of the sound. If you're looking at the meter here, when the plugin is on, it's peaking on -14. When the plugin is off, it's peaking on -7.7. That is 60p of headroom that you're gaining without affecting the loudness of your sounds. You can also do this with another plugin that has few more advanced features. Let's load one of my favorite plugin called Crispy Clip. And the main reason I like to use the plugin is because it looks beautiful. So let's do the same thing. Here we have the ceiling, which is the same control as this one. Ceiling, and you can actually see that it's doing the same thing. Here we can control how sharp is the transient. So I can take this, make it a little bit softer, or I can slide this all the way up, make it a little bit more aggressive. Look how it completely destroyed that transient. Let's make it a little bit softer again. In context, let's turn it off. Listen to the snare, it's quite sharp. Back on. It sounds much more controlled to me and a little bit more in place. Now, we can go and compare between this and this, but I can tell you already, it will sound exactly the same because I did it many times in the past. Actually, let's do it. Crispy Clip first. Clip-A-Me. Crispy Clip. Clip-A-Me. Sound exactly the same, but I would still use the Crispy Clip. First of all, because I already own the plugin. Second, it has this beautiful visual interface. And third, I can control how sharp is the reduction of the transient. Another reason is that I can push the volume of the snare into the plugin, adding this really nice distortion like so. Could do something like this, for example. Still sounding really nice. Let's turn it off. Look at the sausage it became. So, what is the third most common issue when mixing? Obviously, it's frequency masking. If you ever wondered why your mix sounds a little bit muddy and you can't really pinpoint exactly what is the issue, it's because you have some frequencies which are overlapping. There are a few plugins that can solve this issue and make your mix sound cleaner. So let's go back to this example. I have this sound, and I think it's competing for space with this one. I want this acid sound to duck a little bit in volume whenever this lead sound is playing. So one way you can do that is by loading up a glue compressor, pressing on this little triangle, pressing on sidechain, audio input from lead, taking the attack down, the release down, playing the sounds and reducing the threshold. But notice it's a really audible effect. It really ducks the entire sound down, which sounds a little bit unnatural to me. So there is a more clever way to do that. Let's get rid of this compressor and let's load a plugin called Sonic Scoop. This is a Max for Live plugin. It's not free, but it costs only $7. So it is really worth checking. So let's do the same thing, setting the input from lead. This plugin will only reduce the frequencies of the lead sound and nothing else. It wouldn't reduce the entire volume up and down, but only the frequencies of the input, which is the lead, which is that sharp FM sound. This is how it works. Let's reduce the attack, increase the release a little bit, increase the amount. You can see exactly what is attenuating here, and you can't actually hear that the acid lead line is reducing in volume. So this is a much more transparent way to carve some frequencies and let your instrument have more space in the mix. This will guarantee to make your mixes sounding much cleaner. I want to show you another example because this is important. So I have all of my leads here, and I want all of the leads to duck a little bit in volume to let the kick and the snare space to play and let them breathe so they're not overlapping each other. So let's load a plugin called Fuser. This is doing the exact same thing, but in a little bit more of a clever way because it's using some sort of an algorithm to calculate where are the problematic frequencies. So we need to set the sidechain input from our kick. Now let's play and let the plugin do the calculations, and soon you will see in grey where are the problematic frequencies are. Here you can see this. Let's press resolve conflict. And that's it, we solved the problem. So obviously you can't actually hear what the difference is because this is a very transparent result. It is carving certain frequencies out of the leads, and it's only carving the frequencies of the kick where the problematic area is. It does give you a little bit of extra headroom, which allows you two things. One, you can get your mixes a little bit louder. Second, they sounding a little bit cleaner and less muddy. So I've been working hard to create some free content so you can improve your music production skills, and all you need to do is spend 5 minutes every Friday reading my newsletter. So feel free to sign up in the link below. And I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next video. Peace and love.